Welcome back to the 2014 World Championship. We are kicking things off with GPL's Taipei Assassins versus SK Gaming from the European LCS. And the Taipei Assassins will be hungry for a win after their game yesterday that they lost to Starhorn Royal Club despite looking like it was theirs for the taking. Crepo, I want to start with you. Talk to me a little bit about what TPA did right, or in this case, what they did wrong in not closing out.
Yeah, they had a really strong start, but they just didn't have the ability to close out the game. But at the same time, SK didn't even have the ability to get a lead in that game. So TPA will still have an edge in this matchup, and it'll be really rough for SK to come out on top, unless they have like this refound new synergy with Gilius, because it was his first match. Maybe he flicked the switch, maybe he got some feedback, but it's going to look really grim for SK.
It's going to be a difficult one. I know Wins in particular stepped up. He once again performed in the international stage. Monty, you're quite fond of him as a jungler. Wins versus Gilius?
I think it's really hard not to be fond of him as a jungler, especially with his performances yesterday. I mean, we saw he was the big play yesterday, getting that really clean triple kill on Lee Sin, and I think you got to keep him off that champion moving forward. And especially in this matchup too, if we look at SK's weakness right now, it's a sub-jungler, and we look at TPA's strength, it's Wins. I mean, that is a huge disparity in terms of matchup that in this game. And I don't have a whole lot of hope.
Would you even go as far as saying Wins is their win condition?
Wind condition?
I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, like Taipei Assassins to me are basically the question I had was how good were they, because their region is underrepresented, a little bit small. There's only a couple of good teams or top teams for them to face. And so what we saw was that all their individual skill is there. Wins is one of, one of the best junglers at this tournament. The more I think about this team, they feel like a mini Samsung White in that they have this like ludicrously good jungler, and their laning phase is good, and their late game shot calling was a little bit suspect, right? Because they haven't played a lot of top teams who normally will roll over and just die to these guys, right? They 3-0'd the regional, like this is the GPL region is easy for TPA, and so. Late game is hard for them because they're not used to actually being up against the ropes or being fought back against. And so throughout this tournament, we'll see that late game improve for them, but they're going to keep those early game strengths.
Now let's roll this one over to SK. I know probably you felt quite strongly about Jesiz in that mid lane and the difficulties he faced yesterday.
Yeah, so they got a comfort pick with him, Orianna, which was his most played for a long time. And the kind of problem they had against TSM was he's just not ready for that kind of camp. I don't think TPA will put that kind of camping on him, so as long as he's able to kind of pull the lane, avoid those ganks, and kind of farm up and be that teamfight mage he's known for, I think they'll do a lot better today.
And do you think the rest of the team is going to be able to sort of match TPA in terms of SK's player? You know, Freddy in the top lane, we've been touting him quite successfully, but he was target banned yesterday, Nidalee and Aatrox taken off the table.
Yeah, I don't really think just bans are going to be able to stop Freddy, though. He's a really big playmaker, and a lot of teams are weak against top lane playmakers, so I think they'll be able to capitalize on that.
This matchup is also going to be difficult for SK because later in the day they'll be playing Starhorn Royal Club. Confidence is going to be a difficulty for them. I think we need to move this one along to the predictions. We've heard some opinions from you guys. Let's see who you actually think is going to walk away with the win. Freak, who's going to be, TPA or SK Gaming?
Taipei Assassins, I'm a big believer now. Even though they did lose to Royal Club and they're 0-1 in the groups, they look stronger than I expected, so I'm going Taipei Assassins for sure.
Crepo, you're next.
Yeah, pretty much everything Freak said. TPA.
Fair enough. We're going to move this one along. Probably new
guys.
kid on the block. Who's going to pick up the win and why?
Yeah, I will go with TPA purely because SK was really shaky yesterday, and it might be really hard for them to pick it up today, but I'm going to do the safe pick and get TPA right now.
Yeah, home crowd playing into their advantage as well. Monte Cristo, is it going to be a TPA clean sweep? Is there anything SK can do to hold them back?
I don't think so with their substitute situation. And the other thing to consider about TPA is when we talk about their poor Baron dancing, it wasn't because they lacked wards. In fact, their recall timings, they had all of the tools necessary to be successful, and these are very small tweaks that I think they're going to make over the course of this group stage, and I think we'll see them close stronger from this point forward.
Ironically, if they were just a different side team, their wards would have been perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a problem that will be solved.
Well, we will find out if it has been solved because, according to LOLesports.com, you are also calling this one for TPA. 77%. That is a fairly hefty number. Let's hand this one over to the casters to get our day on the Rift started.
Thank you very much, guys. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Miller, and with me for our first 3 matches today are Lee Demon Smith and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler. And guys, yesterday was epic, but I think today's going to be just as amazing. I've got a feeling in my bones.
I got a feeling as well, Joe, but I think that's because we're just big bone, mate. That's for sure.
Could be.
Well, I'm right there with you, my big boned brothers. Don't worry.
So our first game coming into this one going to be an absolutely massive clash.
Absolutely huge clash, and could be a decider between maybe trying to fight for that third place, maybe the second place up for grabs, who knows? There's a lot of games to play. We're going to get straight into the game with a look at the starting lineups over on the blue side. Starting out is the GPL champions. They are the TPA Assassins. In the top lane is Achie, wins in the jungle, Morning in the mid lane, Bebe is the AD carry, and Jay alongside him as support.
And of course, on the red side, representing the European LCS, it's SK Gaming with Freddy122 in the top lane, Gilius in the jungle, Jesiz in the mid lane, and the duo of CandyPanda and nRated.
Excited to see this one, get started because they talked a lot about bans and, the bans going at Freddy. Those will probably be expected once again. But there is an interesting story here with the mid laners. Even though you don't really think of star mid laners when you think of Morning and Jesiz, they have those overlapping champion pools of Orianna and Ziggs that could be fought over. And one of the big things in SK's defeat by TSM was camping mid. And Wins is also going to be able to do a strategy like that. We'll have to see if Gilius tries to switch something up to try and counter it.
Yeah, and actually, if you saw yesterday, there was a tweet from Jesiz that said, I was just so used to Svenska and knowing what I needed in the mid lane. I wasn't putting the calls out for Gilius, so he kind of felt responsible that, obviously Bjergsen and Amazing were basically sitting on that mid lane, and he just wasn't calling for help. He was expecting it to just come to him, and obviously when you're playing with a substitute, that is the problem.
Yeah, just like Probably alluded to, it's up to the laners to also call for help for the junglers.
And that's the interesting thing here, because I was having a little sneaky peek in SK Gaming's warm-up room today, just to see how the general mood was. They actually seem pretty happy with themselves. It's not like they're down in the dumps. They certainly have to pick things up here, though, as we start to move into this game. And the bans, as Nidalee will be banned away. We could have called that one a mile off. Freddy, of course, brilliant Nidalee player. Zillion taken away over the other side, and Zillion being a very strong pick so far.
Well, very much sitting on exactly what TSM did yesterday. Nidalee and Aatrox focused heavily on Freddy, pulled him off his game. He is the shot caller. He pulled out Mundo yesterday, not to great success. Another top lane ban. Maokai finally coming out. Alistair was also taken away, so really the top lane is pretty sparse right now.
Top lane is definitely loaded up with bans here. We'll have to see, because SK, they do like to have Freddy on something that can split push. Still are options open for them, and Rise has gone through. That's been the next tier in top lane picks here, after all of these have been banned out.
So we see Kha'Zix, the first pick for the TPA Assassins, will of course land in the hands of Wins, probably the man to look at in this TPA Assassins lineup. He's played Kha'Zix 3 times so far this season, has a 100% record as well with that Kha'Zix. We'll see now what SK Gaming decides to go for in their first picks. And top lane, of course, is an interesting point for us at this stage because of the fact that there are so many bans. Will that mean that SK Gaming try at least to get something early on the board?
They very well could, or they could try and leave it for later, because they do have last pick here and try and counter. But really, I do want to go back to that first pick you're talking about with Wins, because Kha'Zix is such a strong early jungler here. He's really risen to prominence with all of the nerfs to the other strong dueling junglers, and this is really going to be one of Wins' most recent favorite champions that he's on, so he's very comfortable here. Once again, the Sona, though, very surprising. I saw your face, D-Man.
Yeah, this is something, we were discussing after the TSM game, of course, how it really didn't work out for them in that bottom lane. The Sona pick Wild Turtle. He was dominated against the Starholm Royal Club, but against SK Gaming, they put the moves on that bottom lane pairing of CandyPanda and nRated with Sona. Yeah,
a lot of the support mains are sort of calling Sona like Nami light here. It's a little bit sort of a weaker version of Nami. And Nami is currently up right now, so he's opted for this. Is definitely a nRated special. He's put a lot of time in on this champion. This is for SK's team fighting. They want to make use of the crescendo. They just feel like the tidal wave is too slow.
Got to be a big one for them here. If we look over to TPA, it looks like they'll be picking a mid laner here for Morning. Syndra once again for him, which kind of falls a little bit outside of his normal pool. You mentioned that earlier, that him and Jesiz have a very much overlapping champion pool. They also took Lucian here for Bebe.
Yeah, and it was also, we saw Ari finally locked in for Jesiz. This is the champion I feel he should have been playing yesterday. It is probably arguably his best champion, honestly. 6-1 on him throughout the summer split. fantastic champion. But back to Morning, obviously playing Syndra yesterday, it was the first time we've seen him play it, because Chieh, of course, is the substitute for TPA. He can play at this World Championships if they require him.
Exactly, and something that TPA were really big on in their interviews is that they've changed up a lot of strategies, and they've brought multiple strategies for the different teams that they've been researching here. So Syndra, a big part of that. However, we did see he's a little uncomfortable on the champion. It takes a bit of practice to start aiming those stuns, because those are 2 key clicks rather than just a single key click for your stun this time, and the accuracy was a little bit off. That could open up windows for Jesiz to go for those kills, because Ahri can dance circles around you. If you miss your stun on Syndra, then you will be a sitting duck.
And it shows the faith that TPA, I think, have in Morning, in the fact that he's not played it. Chieh is the Syndra player. If the plan is to play Syndra, you'd expect maybe that Chieh would be the one to lead the way, but they played brilliantly yesterday. Unfortunately lost out in that game, but showed some real good signs. We did see Jarvan picked in here for Gilius, a champion that he's played multiple times in the Challenger Series. Of course, he's now officially an LCS player with Unicorns of Love, having qualified from the promotion tournament. On the other side, Rise and Janna were the 2 final picks for TPA.
So they have the double AP comp, but it's not like they're lacking attack damage threats here, because Wins especially has been very, very dangerous on Kha'Zix, and Bebe once again on the Lucian. Very comfortable with this champion, played it yesterday. They're also bringing the Janna, so we'll have to see if they listen to any sort of the analysis yesterday, and he goes for Mikhail's earlier rather than going with the Medjai's. But really the Mikhail's would have to be used to get somebody who gets caught by Ahri to safety.
Interesting team comps from both of these teams, honestly, because you've got a mix between a mid and a late game on both sides, honestly. I mean, obviously, clearly, BBJ down the bottom lane, they're going to be pushing the towers, but CandyPanda, when he gets going later on with the Tristana, will be strong towards him. Of course, then you've also got the Rise in there. He's going to be massive against the Mundo. Mundo's going to be massive towards his lane. It's a definite mix between this one. I think we're looking towards a longer game than we're expecting here.
Yeah, they are fairly balanced here. We've heard so much about the Mundo and Tristana combos. When teams pick both of these up, they just have ridiculous scaling on the front line and in the back line for their team. But you can never count out Rise. We've seen how ridiculous he does get later.
And let's be honest here, I mean, we're talking about 2 teams who have traditionally gone very, very long in terms of their game, so can't count that one out. But now that the players have decided on their champions, who do you guys think is going to win? Let us know by tweeting hashtag TPA win or SK win to @LOL Esports. We'll find that one out as we get in game. Of course, it was a 77% vote for TPA. Obviously, massive favourites here in the stadium. They're on home soil, and we'll see if that advantage plays into their game.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, SK are using a substitute. Whether they're going to continue throughout the groups, of course, Svenska will be able to play after today. This is the last 2 games. He's had a 3-game ban, so we'll see whether he comes in, whether they stick with Gilius. You know, I said to Freddie, I saw him just before this match, and he was like, wished him good luck, and he said, we're sure as hell going to need it. We'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, and I do like Kha'Zix in this matchup just because it's a bit easier for Wins to outplay Gilius. If he is able to juke the knockup from Jarvan, then it's 100% going to be 1 skirmish for Wins. And that early game, if it does go again in favor of TPA, then really the things that we do have to worry about is looking at how they finish out the game. Because yesterday, they had such a great lead, but they kind of made that classic James Bond villain mistake where they've got him tied up. They've won pretty much. They've got him tied up on the floor. They've got a gun to his head, but they don't finish him off. Instead, they stand walking around and they tell him just how good their planning was to get to this point. By that point, it's too late, though. James escapes and everything goes down the drain.
Don't get
Look at this, though. Face check!
Face check going in there. nRated's going down here. The exhaust used on him. The ignite's going. BB, surely one more shot will do it. It's Chieh that picks up first blood. CandyPanda walks away to the tower, but that is a straight up face check.
And that is another early lead here for TPA. The money, though, it went to Jay, so it's not as bad for SK as it could have been. A first blood over to BB would be a horrendous start. Let's see what Jay goes for this time. That may just fuel his Medjai's counter this time.
And disastrous start for SK Gaming, and this is where they, in theory, should still be at their strongest teamwork-wise, is this bottom lane. CandyPanda and nRated been impressive together throughout the last couple of splits, and just not what they would have wanted, and certainly won't help their confidence out. Also, I feel, showed their hand in terms of level 1 very early on, with Jesiz skilling up his orb rather than, you know, just waiting for a little while in case anything happened and maybe taking a charm. Spotted by Morning. We thought that was it for level 1, but the face check giving first blood over to the Taipei Assassins as Jesiz going very aggressive there onto Morning. Did see both of them starting with that door and ring, so we'll see how this mid lane does develop in the end. But it's standard lanes Kobe here with the 2v2 down bottom and the Rise versus Mundo up top.
Look at this trading right here. As soon as Bebe jumps in, Jay puts on the shield. Great harass, gets the double shot with the extra AD there, chases them off of the minion line. This is how the Lucian Tristana match is really supposed to go. He gets that bullying down. The first blood actually translated into boots, so not that big of a deal for the combat effectiveness of the early trades in the bottom lane.
Interested to see how this one works out. It's interesting, more importantly for me, to see Sona coming back here, because there was a reason he fell away in the 2014 season, was because the changes in the bottom lane made those supports a little bit squishy, because everything got a little bit more aggressive down there, and we're already seeing nRated taking a lot of harassment from BB&J.
Well, I expect to see much more aggression from BB&J because of the assist money that BB got. He got 3 potions now, so he can continue to trade over and over again and sustain up, using that extra attack damage from the Janna shield, as well as the shield to soak up damage itself. He can sit there and sustain right along with Sona.
Telegraph gank in the top lane. Gilius gets spotted. BB once again is going in. CandyPanda trading back with this one. The Howling Gale preventing any more damage done. SK are not backing down too heavily on this one. They want to trade.
And I'm not sure that it's a bad decision for them as well, with that Sona in there to keep the heals coming in for them. Obviously, BB, as you mentioned, got himself a few more pots, but has since worked through those. So we'll see how that one all develops for him. Currently, CS pretty level as BB is once again going to go in. Howling Gale will come through, but not connecting onto CandyPanda, and a very aggressive bottom lane so far.
Yeah, and these Howling Gales, like, you kind of want the Howling Gale to time when you're going in with your AD carry rather than right after the trade is over. Seems to be continually BB starting the exchange and then the Howling Gale sort of ending it there. Not quite perfectly on point. But really, again, let's take another look at the junglers, because once again, Gilius trying to make something happen earlier. You got a lot of criticism for not making enough action early, whereas Wins, he's been hard farming the jungle there with Kazix. He's very calm, he's not trying to rush into anything, and he's a little bit ahead of Gilius now, just because Gilius has been trying more things and sitting in the bushes.
And Jesiz has been unable to really get in there so far and do much to Morning. He's sat all the way back there behind that midway point of the map, making sure that he doesn't get in trouble. Meanwhile, Freddy taking a bit of a beating in this top lane, but he is ahead by a good chunk of CS.
Yeah, Gilius, just looking at him, trying to take a look around. He's desperate to try and create a gank. He's been running around the top, the bottom, the mid, looking for anywhere to create an opportunity. And as he said, Wins is just happy farming right now.
Yeah, so this is one of the dangers when, even if you get some criticism for a slow performance last game, it's hard for a jungler to instantly change their style. If you instantly try and turn into an early attacking, early ganking jungler, then a lot of the times you're going to have to work on the timing for those ganks, because you can see there he wasted a lot of time sort of sitting in the bushes just because he felt like he had to get something happening. And now Wins, he's already been back to purchase. He's got wards already on the map down right now, and the sustain of his Sight Stone completed.
Yeah, it's not like these junglers have some magic switch that they can just flip and, reverse their entire year's style. Wins is down on this bottom side of the map. nRated actually moving in there with the ward. He's going to take a big amount of damage. Will, in fact, flash away there back towards his turret. So Wins coming down. Okay, no kill, but he's forced the support's flash.
Managing to pull that one out. It does mean Wins is going to back away. So first aggression we see from Wins already causes one summoner spell to go down. In that mid lane, there is a rather large gap starting to appear in terms of CS. 52 to 37 already. Both have just been back to buy. So Morning building a big advantage over Jesiz early on.
And that is very worrisome, because look at the wards that Wins decided to place. He placed them over by this blue buff for the second blue buff spawn. If your mid laner is already ahead, this opens up the opportunity for assassinating Jesiz when he goes to pick up that second blue buff handoff. This could be the makings of a well-laid trap here from TPA if Wins heads over there and tries to get in position. You can see Jesiz sort of had the same thought, though. He just places a defensive ward over that wall into the river to sort of watch that avenue. And as you can see, it's just a defensive handoff of their own blue buff.
Well, it's a matter of time. We'll see whether TPA decide to swing straight down there. They did start, obviously, their own blue early on, which means the red will be spawning, which is, it seems to be where Wins is going at the moment, so they're not going for it just yet. A little bit of a roam from Jesiz, looking to go further down, getting a vision, taking a peek towards the Wraiths. He hasn't spotted anything yet. Meanwhile, down this bottom, despite all the heavy trading back and forth, the actual CS between the two, Bebe and CandyPanda, is pretty even.
Oh, Freddy here, gonna do some decent damage. Can he finish off a kill though? See, Achie got himself that tier stacking up. Wins is now moving in, so those wards earlier on is Gilius coming down into the middle. Ultimate from Jesiz as well. Can't quite get over. Gilius is going to go down. Morning does fall, and that gives the double buff over. Wins going to dive onto the top of Jesiz. Has he got the damage to finish him off? Flash actually onto the other side. He needs one more Q, surely. Touchdown from Jesiz. I think that's going to be it. Avoid spikes do land, but not quite enough damage from Wins.
Yeah, they were going for setting up that attack sort of in the blue buff corridor handoff, but Gilius had different plans. He was just going straight for the gank. They weren't trying to hand it off. As soon as Ari hit level 6, they wanted to get that kill. Morning did a great job of getting the first blood before he went down, though. Does result in the blue buff steal here because Wins the last jungler left standing.
Shendo goes down. CandyPanda jumps in, but a quick ultimate from Jay blows them all away. And while all that play was begun by SK, it's TPA that come out on top.
However, Wins took a lot of damage there. Their jungler extremely low. SK take the opportunity. They're going to push this dragon.
Oh, this is dangerous. CandyPanda down at half HP. nRated not exactly much healthier. Jesiz has come back in. Don't forget those double buffs there for him and available.
No spike for Wins.
That's a 3-man stun coming up. SK do manage to get dragon. Zephyr goes towards CandyPanda. They're trying to get away. Gilius going to be flashed onto. Wins gets one. Exhaust onto Jesiz. That's 2 kills. Morning picks up the second.
Completely worth it for TPA there. Not only did they get the kills and the double buffs back, but they have complete control of mid so they can answer objectives as well.
Big pickup from TPA here. SK trying to force a play. They're trying to create something, and TPA just have answers for them every step of the way. The entire play was begun by Gilius and Jesiz in that mid lane. Everything has just ricocheted out of their way, out of their control. CandyPanda down the bottom. He's going to back off, but TPA just gained a whole chunk of gold and all of the assists across the board. Everybody benefited from everything there.
All right, so we'll take another look. Make sure here there is no smite for Wins, so this is not a smite fight. This is 100% for Gilius. However, he uses his flag and drag on the dragon, so he has no escape after this. Cooldown's not going to be there. He's a sitting duck. Yes, they secured the dragon, but that's going to be 2 kills and the double buffs going back over to Morning.
Yeah, and he's now going to become even more of a problem. He's 20 CS ahead as a start. Got those 2 kills. Athenes is done for him, something that Jesiz has not been able to achieve as of yet. Cheese also possible.
Feeling hungry, mate?
Yeah. Big bone and all that.
We just started today, guys.
If you look at the AD carries and their items, Avarice played BF Sword was the start for CandyPanda, so mixing it up a little bit on that front. Other side, Bebe not messing around here. He's got pickaxe as well as the BF Sword.
Jesiz has fell quite far behind Morning as well. Double buff was picked up during that. That's going to be clear out in a moment. Gilius did just have a peek and wonder whether he could get near them, but 90 CS to 66, 2 kills to the 1. It is all going in Morning's favor. And, you know, we were questioning before this tournament began whether he could do it, whether he could turn this around, because when we saw him at Katowice, he had that one big showing on Ziggs, but outside of that, he was not that impressive. It seems, though, Chieh has been taking him through some training school for Syndra.
And, you know, the game plan for the next 5 minutes here from TPA should be very, very clear. Well, yeah, we do have Gilius sitting in this bush right now, and Achie may be in a little bit more trouble than he thinks. Let's see how well Freddy can actually bait this. He doesn't want to give it away.
Oh, what a flash, but there is a Cataclysm, leaves him trapped inside. He's turning the damage round on towards Gilius. He's just at less than half HP, but the damage is there. It's Freddy that picks up the kill on his Mundo.
Yeah, not much he could do there. I mean, he flashes the knock-up only to get hit by the Cataclysm, and that means you're going to be stuck in there forever. Let's see how well this dive works out, though. They're sitting on a ward, and because top one teleports in.
That crescendo was way too early from nRated. The rest of the team reacted. Jesiz goes in, he gets on towards, wins. We can see Morning flash away. They will only get that one kill. Again, if that crescendo would have delayed a little bit longer, I think they may have got more from that one.
It wasn't a bad reaction from SK Gaming, though. They saw them coming in, instant TP from Freddy to get down there. Ended up getting themselves a kill. Yes, they burnt a decent amount to actually make that happen. As Bebe going aggressive again in bottom lane. CandyPanda has to be careful here. They get rid of the minions. That'll keep them safe for now.
Yeah, really, it was the 100% perfect reaction for them because they had two members up top, so they didn't need both of them to shove it into the turret. They left the jungler up there, and they instead teleport down with Freddy. They got the advantage because no way Achie can teleport to answer. He's dead.
And they did the turret teleport as well. Oh, double stun comes in. CandyPanda in trouble. Ultimate used by Morning is not quite enough to take him down. And SK do manage to get away. They will lose a turret, but their lives are safe for now.
Double flash used there by the SK bottom lane, and it means that the tower is going to be falling here. TPA picked that one up, and a 1,500 gold lead is now settled for them. Jesiz not able to come around for this time, and again, Morning just moving around the map nicely to start off those plays on the tower.
All right, so let's get back to that clear game plan for TPA. Because they have this early lead, their mid lane is much stronger, their bottom lane is much stronger. Wins himself is much stronger. So this jungle, he should completely take over the blue side jungle of SK. That should be TPA territory right now. They set up an outpost there, litter it with wards, and they can continue to control all the consecutive dragons that are about to come up. 1 minute on the next one, they hand off this blue, then head over down to bottom side. Could be a very easy pickup.
This is a tricky situation for Gilius. I don't think he realizes just how many members of TPA are nearby if he were to try go for something. Freddy instead wisely tells him to back away, and there's no gang opportunities. SK gathering a little around the mid lane here. Dragon is up in 50 seconds, and they want to start trying to gain control of the Serpentine River.
Let's see here, because Achie still has his teleport as well. If they send Achie back up to deal with Freddy and sort of shove this top lane wave as hard as he can, then yeah, this dragon should be TPA's for the taking. Freddy's not going back right now, so pretty much no way he could join that fight.
If you look at some CS numbers here, though, it's TPA that will definitely lead.
They're going Hallingale.
Oh, little bit off there. Slightly off, the ward was down, so he had vision and expecting, I think, SK to move a little further out. But if you look at TPA, just as you said earlier, Kobe, get that vision down in the blue side of SK's jungle and really start to dominate that side of the map. They've got the vision, but they're now backing away to leave it again.
Yeah, that being said, Freddy did take that time to back. So he backed just in time here. Dragon is available, but he's heading towards the area. And Ryze does take towers very slowly because he's pretty much all mana at this point in the game. He's just got his rod completed. So if he stays up in that top lane, it will take him a while to earn the objective for TPA. However, free minions for Ryze in itself is a pretty big win for them. If TPA can sort of delay SK around this dragon, then that will slowly gain them advantage. Let's see how decisive SK are around this dragon, though. They decide to force something. Because slowly but surely, Achie up top, gaining little leads.
They may just choose the opportunity to swing around. They can see there's 3 members pinned across in the jungle. nRated with the ward down does keep them separated. They're miles away from this one. They're going to start it off, and there's a lot of damage done on that dragon already. TPA too late to the party. Wins is going to have to jump in. No, it's SK's taking it, and that equals up the goal.
Okay, so they just decide to play it safe and keep Ryze up top. He will get this turret eventually. Extremely low, probably going to need one more minion wave up there, and he should be able to get it before Freddy is actually able to defend.
Let's see if Freddy chooses to TP. I don't think he will with that minion wave, is what they call coming in. Winion wave also. And they are going to take that tower, and there's the vote. 1% of you extra in that swing, 78 to 22%. All right, forget that, 82% then. So big swing here for the Taipei Assassins. And honestly, SK, yes, they're a little bit behind in this game, but they've done well to control the dragon so far. If they can keep doing that, and obviously start to scale things up with that Mundo and the Tristana. This is by no means a done deal, as SK here pushing that middle lane.
Yeah.
Morning and Achie are going to come in, but it might just be too late. The tower's going down.
Yeah, just the one more little hit. It's all it required. Wins goes aggressive on this one. I think they should be safe. There is no tower, remember. And the charm being flung out by Jesiz just as a warning shot. It does give them a little breather, though. TPA, this is the question, though. They were a little indecisive yesterday when they had that lead over Star on Royal Club. They have no lead right now. It is equal. Now Blue Buff just gets dragged across by Morning. That's going to get taken away. Another one stolen away from Jesiz, but it hasn't hampered him too much just yet.
There is just now the completed static Shiv as well for CandyPanda. So that's more good news for SK. They've got extra wave clear right now, much needed. It will supplement Ari's wave clear, and they can hold out. They can try and wait until CandyPanda actually completes his Infinity Edge. Right now, he's got the biggest pieces of it.
TPA, though, looking like they may try to get vision control over the top side of the map. Let's not forget that epic game against Royal Club where they did get great control over the map, but were unable to finish off that game. We'll see what they actually do here. I said vision control, not really much of it did end up going down. One inside the Baron pit, one by the Wraith camp that's at the since being cleared actually by Gilius. So that means not too much gain from that little push onto that side of things. Bebe actually going to go down bottom. CandyPanda has no turret behind him, but not sure they want to fight at this point.
So, something we've talked about, obviously we've covered SK for the entire season. They've always been very slow in the lane phase. They're coming out on the lane phase, equal on gold. Oh, Jesus, that's a deep dive. Morning gonna get caught out, Crescendo in there. They only need to hit the tower once, but it doesn't matter. They take down the mid laner. And what I was Freddy about to say, that's the tower gone down. They're gonna back away from this one. Freddy's coming around the side. They may still keep pushing this mid lane.
Yeah, this is dangerous for TPA. We see here that Bebe being forced away by CandyPanda. Minions been taken down slowly but surely there, which means that TPA will hold on this turret for now. Morning going to be respawning back in, but that leaves Jesiz now at 3-1-0, and we saw the CC train there really coming in. Jarvan diving on top into the Crescendo, into an easy charm. You just don't escape from that. There's Jay actually going very aggressive. TP from Achie as well.
Henry, he's not getting out of that one. He gives his life up there. The question is, will TPA turn this and run down the mid?
Exactly. They've got one kill, but it was just on the support. How much can they really gain mid? There's Static Shiv, Tristana, plus Ari wave clearing. SK have a pretty decent chance of defending here. Okay, it's just a straight charm on the support. Not explosive because he is gone with the Athene's route, not rushing for the Deathfire.
Well, just a couple of minions there, but they are being kept at bay. There's a good chunk of damage. Gilius going very effective and just gets destroyed where he stands. Don't think he was on the same page as the rest of his team there. SK happy to just hold off the tower. Freddy having to use his ultimate to keep himself alive. Morning continuing to put pressure on them. Now they're going to keep pursuing it. Crescendo is still not up, and SK, they are just simply trying to clear some vision here. They're trying to clear the waves, but TPA, they're not giving up.
Pushing straight through onto this one. A big stunt could be all it takes. Morning there, he gets 3 men. They blow up the AD carry. No, not the AD carry. The mid lane, it was Jesiz that went down. CandyPanda to half lane B. There is Monsoon used just to top TPA back up. Don't think they want to tank the turret right now.
They will.
I'll be proven wrong on that one. They go straight in onto it with wins, and that will be the inner turret going to TPA along with the kill.
Morning with a couple of good kills, and it does earn them the secondary turret here. SK with a couple little slip-ups there. Gilius going a little aggressive. I do have to commend him, though. He's going for combat effectiveness with his build. He's got the extra Giant spell there, and he's got the Hex Drinker to try and protect him from the same thing happening again. The full burst there from Morning. Next time around, he'll have that shield. I don't think he had that completed when he got hit the first time.
So, barring the crazy jump in from Gilius, back to my point, my trail of thought was, when SK come out of lane, generally even, their late game is there. That's their area of expertise. That is where they tend to shine, but Gilius jumping in like that, not quite on the same page, and that is the differential of having a substitute on your team. But do not write SK off. It's only a 3,000 gold difference. I think they were a little caught off by the pure aggression that TPA showed in that mid lane push. Of course, Jesiz completely caught out. Them big stuns from Morning are really on point this game.
And it's going to have to be, nRated and these crescendos answering. 12 seconds here left for Dragon. Freddy does have his teleport ready for this if SK want to try and rush in there, but TPA have cleaned out the entire river for vision, and rushing into Fog of War against Syndra is very dangerous. They're going to do it though. Gilius runs right up.
This is a very brave move from SK Gaming. Dragon's going to go down. Are they going to try and close in? TPA are inside of the Dragon Pit. It's Freddy that goes in. Wins is actually going low and will fall down. It's nRated that picks up that kill. And TPA, they're stuck in the back. There's a Cataclysm. Jesiz has caught Bebe around the backside. Is he going to get the kill? Almost goes down. Meanwhile, in the pit, Gilius, nRated, CandyPanda all low. Will they get 3 kills? Make that 4. And now Achie's in trouble.
Tagged. It's going to be an
Freddy's going to run in there. There's another one. He got slowed just as he flashed though. And the minions.
Well, ignore it. They shouldn't chase. They should just go straight for mid. It looks like they want to go for Baron
looks like
instead.
they're bringing on this Baron instead, and it is just a rise, so that should beat Baron for SK. Now that fight, it looked like TPA just called every man for himself, and they tried to scramble out of the Dragon Pit. Wins just jumped headlong by himself to try and get out of there, and everybody's left scrambling inside the pit. This is definitely going to be the Baron here for SK. What a huge swing.
So the big thing I want to check, we're hopefully going to get the replay in a moment. I'm pretty sure the majority of the flashes were down for TPA, so they were stuck in that pit. And check Freddy. Freddy just dumped them out.
Yeah, they just kind of all panic inside. He jumps headlong for nRated, and everybody else is still just scrambling inside the pit. Freddy's the gatekeeper here, the bouncer at the front of the Dragon Pit. He's not letting anybody in. Nobody's got IDs on them. They're all stuck inside. Bebe almost gets a kill over the wall, but he doesn't get it, and it turns into the 4-kill plus Baron. What a huge, huge swing here for the Mundo Tristana team.
Worth noting there, though, was Jeziz's position. He went around the back of the Dragon Pit and said, okay, if you've got a flash, feel free to use it. Come in here and I'll kill you.
Arms open.
Almost went down to Bebe, but almost doesn't count. He got the kill. He's now got a DFG in there as well. So he's got a lot of potential to be singling out these targets. And TPA, we saw it yesterday that the later the game went on, the more decidedly dodgy some of their calls became, and that one was just not on point for them. They've fallen behind now in gold. They're up against an SK Gaming team who now have Baron on them. Some big items were completed in there, including the Warmogs for Freddy, that DFG they already mentioned, Infinity Head, and Shiv now there for CandyPanda.
Yeah, and actually being behind this time as the game gets later for TPA is a really big problem, because with their team, it's very hard for anybody to get back to a late game Tristana. As the range scales up further and further, CandyPanda becomes extremely safe, and it really has to be a positional mistake from CandyPanda for him to get caught in this. SK though, nRated gonna have to blow his flash.
This is interesting play from TPA. They are being the aggressive one. SK have Baron, but TPA are the ones that are being aggressive. SK is still realizing it, thinking, what are you doing, guys? We have the upper hand right now. We have the power. Now they finally grouped up. TPA do back out in time, but it did force the flash from nRated. He had Crescendo available if they piled in, though.
Forced the flash and bought some extra time, taking very, very crucial seconds off of that Baron buff timer for them.
All morning. No. Not going to get chased down here. We do see Gilius coming across. FLICKR drag was used. He gets the ward down. Spots Jay and Morning, though, quickly chooses to back away. But 5 members pushing down the bottom while Bebe pushes mid.
And when you're facing a team like this that has the upper hand, you don't try and defend. You try and trade. Whenever your opponent is much stronger than you, you try and work around their power. TPA, they take this opportunity, try and shove up mid to try and answer back some advantage. They probably won't be able to get a lot of turret damage, but they did shove the wave all the way up and moved away from the dangerous zone of the map.
And if we look at the story of SK Gaming, specifically in the summer split, they never had a particularly impressive laning phase. It was all about building the strength, trying not to fall too far behind, and relying on the late game and the calls. And I almost feel that Gilius fits the late game SK style better than Svenskeren does.
Yeah, because Svenskeren was very much all about stealing the kills for himself sometimes, honestly. He was very much a selfish jungler. I think he is safe to call him that. We'll see how it works out, because now that they're out of the lane phase, that's the time when a sub is the really the handicap for you. Now they're together as a 5, they're grouping as a 5. You can't really do too much wrong as a sub, other than maybe making a positional error. He's with the team. He is the big tank in the front. Well, obviously, Mondo will be the big tank, but for now, when he's split pushing, he will be the main man that blocks them out. So. Yeah. The handicap is gone from them right now.
He's going to be the big cataclysm to group people up. He's the one who's trying to get people in the cataclysm for nRated to ultimate. If they get that combo off, then it's very easy for CandyPanda to stay safe on the back line and just dish out damage the entire fight.
Freddy is become enormous. We just saw the culling going on him. The tower's hitting him. It didn't even take 1,000 hit points off him. That tower was taken down, full on tanked out. The Baron buff had worn off, but they just walked in and took it.
This is why, you know, a lot of people have been sort of getting tired of seeing Tristana over and over. The Tristana and Mundo, I always pointed out, the strongest scaling tank and AD carry. It's going to get very, very difficult for any answers. Freddy just stands on the front line, takes all of the hits. The only thing that can get back to CandyPanda is a morning stun. Syndra stun will go right through him. If they can get that and capitalize, then maybe they'll be able to swing this back in their favor.
But that's very tricky because they're basically hoping that Morning can land the stun and Bebe goes in. But with CandyPanda on Tristana, he can jump on his face. Jesiz can Spirit Rush on towards him. So it's going to be very hard for Bebe to land the perfect position. And they're going to try it again here. This is going to be another stun try and start out by Morning.
Oh, gets the knock up onto Freddy. They're going to try and do some damage to him. Any bit of damage that they can really get onto that health bar is a bonus for them at this stage. But SK deciding to move towards the Dragon. TPA here have cleared out the wave. May decide to push up mid. Look at that. They see nothing on that bottom side of the river. SK had moved up to the brush. Decide though that they do want that Dragon. They will be able to take that down. Baron's coming up in 1.5 minutes time, which is pretty much the perfect amount of time here for SK to back spend everything that they've just gained with those pushes and be back in time for Baron.
And relocate their own wards. TPA took that opportunity. They know they were going to give up this Dragon, so they at least went to try and put down some vision by Baron, but it's very sparse vision that they have down there, and it will be very easy for SK to clear that out. That being said, they can, again, shove up the lanes and then just gain control of that entire side of the jungle.
Dragon was what turned things around last time. That led to a big massacre by SK of TPA and picks up that Baron afterwards. That will be up in just 40 seconds time. There is good vision in there for TPA, but I feel SK will no doubt come through and sweep out that. You can see a pink ward on nRated. Jesiz gets himself his blue buff. He's going to be happy. And the next fight may well be a bit of a dance around the Baron.
I feel that is most likely going to happen here. It's been somewhat of the European style. I think TPA, I mean, they showed it, yes, against Royal Club, that they're not scared of doing that Baron dance either. So seems like a likely option to actually happen in this one. For now, Freddy just pushing that top wave out to have it going in their favor. TPA have already got a good bit of coverage down on their side of that Baron pit. SK now finally starting to move in with a few pink wards. Once again though, TPA is saying on the trap, Gilius, is he going to face check? Freddy came in and that scared TPA off.
That was nerves. That was nerves. They could have gone for that and they were just like, is this the right play? I'm not sure. And they rightly backed away because Freddy came around that corner at just the right time. Tricky, tricky moments here for both teams.
Yeah, setting up traps with only 4 of your members.
Oh, Jay.
Oh, Cataclysm comes down soon. Now actually knocked it back. CandyPanda gets the kill. The culling wasn't enough to really return much there onto SK Gaming, and that gives them a big advantage. Yes, you can argue it's just the support down nRated here. Trying to play the bait. That's a good stun from Morning. Hits 3 of them, gets nRated low. Jesiz going to go in towards Achie and actually using his ultimate there, so they may want to try and move forward from this one. Gilius trying to get in. Another good stun comes out from Morning, but SK push them back and can just go back to Baron.
Yeah, perfectly played there by SK. They get the vision and then they go for the picks. Gilius especially, great job jumping on that Janna. They get the important cooldowns out and the extra kill. Then Jesiz goes for a pick. He doesn't
Seitz there. Crescendo comes out, but Bebe gets the smite out there. That's going to be Gilius that picks it up, but SK take a very low in the pit here. CandyPanda jumps back in, but it's TPA coming out on top. Have they got the damage? They damn well have. Jesiz gets picked up. Bebe goes huge. be an ace for TPA in the home ground. What a turnaround once again.
They quickly need to shove up mid and try and get that inhibitor down. The wave is halfway there, so they'll probably at least be able to get the turret. Let's see here, 20 seconds. They don't have Bebe. Crucial kill there at the very end for Freddy to be able to take down Bebe. Will make this push much slower.
And they've not got much health either from that one. You see Jay and Wins trying to dodge off there on the damage that they're going to take. Minion wave comes in to make it easier. They're going to take the turret, they're leaving. They don't want to stick around and risk that ace that they've just got being turned around onto them. TPA going to back away, and this game back and forth. Let's have a look at that Baron fight again.
All right, so the crescendo and Bebe with the beautiful sidestep right there. A great stun. Let's see here. They corner them inside. Wins jumps right into. Jesiz on the outside can't lend enough help, and then the beautiful cleanup here from Wins. Bebe, this is the point. Freddy flashes in to finish him off, and that right there saved them the actual inhib kill.
Yeah, wow. So, we got a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in it, and it is just a 2,000 gold differential. Baron completely wiped off the board. Nobody keeping that one for SK Gaming, and it is all square once again. 5 towers to 4. TPA taking that one inhibitor turret down. The question is, how will SK react? They had the upper hand. They still technically do in terms of gold, but that's definitely going to put a scare amongst them.
Yeah, I mean, basically they didn't get any use out of the crescendo because everyone was on Baron, and Bebe in fact even dodged it. So next time they have a team fight, SK probably still have the upper hand here as long as they are together and they're able to actually make use of all their crowd control. The fact that they were all focused on dealing damage to Baron was really the only reason that TPA were able to clean that one up. And they still have the gold lead here. So this is why they're continuing to pressure mid. If they just play it sort of solidly here, should be able to take down.
Well, they siege down this turret. We'll see whether they do manage to stick to it. Morning trying to follow through. I want you to get your stats head on you. Channel your inner freak right now, because I want to see how does it compare. The fact that CandyPanda did have to go for that third defensive item. He's only got the IE and the static shiv compared to Bebe, of course, who went towards that last whisper.
So it is going to hurt them a bit because they've got the Mundo and Jarvan with, you know, Jarvan adds a little bit of damage, semi-damage, but really it's going to be about the solid plan from this team anyway. This team's not about having to rush things. So CandyPanda just playing defensively, not worrying about the actual long DPS over time in this team fight because their composition is so safe. This is sort of like the Greek phalanx here for SK.
CandyPanda pushing out that bottom lane. There's a dragon that will be a freebie. But I say freebie, we look at TPA and they're actually pushing up the mid lane right now. They've got Freddy to try and hold them away. The inhibitor, of course, is open, and SK tried to move in from the side. Spotted by a good pink ward there by TPA, and TPA are going to keep pushing from this one. Freddy actually going to use his ultimate to get that region in. Cully comes out from the side. Are they going to go for this one? Morning isolated on the top side, and actually, yeah, Gilius went for him, but the rest of the team went down middle. Bit of coordination problems there, but they get the kill in the end. CandyPanda picks that one off. That's a lot of damage gone from TPA.
That's a big, big pickup by Gilius there. The sub coming out huge and singling out that mid laner. Very well worked for them. There was no flash available for nRated either, so he couldn't get that flash crescendo because 4 of them were stacked so tightly that it would have worked perfectly. Instead, though, SK taking advantage and pushing down that inner turret.
That's gone. There's no way that they can have that one. The question is whether they can actually defend here on the inhibitor turret. 20 seconds still until morning will come back up. Freddy was not pretty low in that last fight, if we can even really call it a fight. It was more of a positional face-off, which ended up in Gilius catching out Morning on the top side. But SK recalling, and TPA are just going to push back up mid.
Yeah, the sort of safety-first mentality of SK kind of paying off here. The more I do look at it, though, I mean, CandyPanda has so many safety nets that he can fall back on. A third damage item would speed this game up for them a bit. But with that Banshee's Veil, it just means that even if Morning does land a Miracle Stun through Mundo, through the front line onto him, he's going to have that blocked. So it makes their composition just that much more safe.
That third damage item is now in, and CandyPanda is not going to have too many problems with Achie anymore either. He's got the damage. TPA are waiting off the side. They want to try and set up a gang push, but they're against SK Gaming. They've played Fnatic all season. They know what this is all about. Are they going to fall for it? Freddy's the man that gets singled out, but he's got 4,500 hit points and a whole stack of armor. He does not care too much what Bebe does to him.
Yeah, Last Whisper, all well and good, but quite frankly, he's got enough to just say, I don't really care, even if you're hammering away on me. A minute until the Baron comes up. Freddy, of course, was, I mean, despite the fact that they got Ace, you could probably argue the hero of that one flashing in to kill Bebe and stop them from taking the inhibitor, which has given them the respite. We do see, though, that TPA sat in the death brush here trying to bait SK in.
Yeah,
on a ward, though.
They really need to get some sort of surprise, because if your enemy is stronger than you in the straight up 5-on-5, you don't fight a fair fight. You try and get the element of surprise on your side to pick somebody off, because if they stack up 5-5, look at this. Who is Wins ever going to get a reset off? Talked about the safe sort of style from this team. Everybody here is hard for them to take down. Even nRated there. He's got the extra shield for everybody, and he's working on extra health items for himself. Very hard for TPA to actually ever get resets for Wins.
I gotta give it to TPA. They're persistent. They were staying in that bush for a long time, and SK were just like, we know you're there. We're not falling for it. This has happened too many times to us throughout the year to just stroll on into that death bush. And now SK have got themselves advantage. They've moved in. They're getting the wards down. The Baron has spawned, but TPA, they're always giving that little edge of threat. There is no tower in that mid lane, remember. They can wall straight onto the in here, but it's a risky play if they go for it.
And SK now feeling very confident. If they once again control vision around this Baron and then wait for the picks. They have the Ahri, they have the Jarvan with both Flash and Cataclysm available. So picks are very easy for them to pull off. Vision is controlled. Now they play the slow game. Not that slow, actually.
Whoa! Freddy going down to less than half HP. There's the culling. They managed to lock him up, but can they finish him off? They can't at this stage. And SK actually starting off the Baron, doing about half of the health bar. Haven't finished that one off, and TPA have not only done the damage to the big tank, they've managed to actually stop them doing the Baron. They're going straight on mid.
So this is a completely different phase for TPA. A decisive move when their backs are against the wall. Baron's going down with this level 18 Tristana. They force it. They engage on the Mundo, pull them off of Baron, and now they've run SK all over the map, shoving mid and switching over to Baron. Teleport though, they're trapped.
This is really risky. They've got to take that Baron down very fast there, and they are doing the damage to it. The TPA are going to get it. They've taken the Baron, and SK are just too slow to the party.
That's what decisive calls would do for you. Engage on the Mundo to draw them off of Baron, then shove mid to make them all recall to try and defend the inhibitor. What good objective selection from TPA. 1, 2, 3, they got the Baron, burned it down, even with the teleport from Freddy, able to pull it off in time.
It's just so hard to call this game because we've seen it swing back and forth already. We saw TPA in the lead. They end up losing out and must have had this deja vu, a horrible deja vu feeling from yesterday, but they get that Baron. They're still 5k gold behind, but we're 40 minutes into this matchup now, getting to the point where the gold is going to be less and less impactful. But what are TPA going to do with the Baron? This is where, yes, we've just seen that decisive play for the Baron. Now they've got to be even more decisive and show us what they can do with that big Baron advantage.
Well, the really big thing for them is that the middle inhibitor turret is already down from the last time they were able to rush it. Even though Bebe went down after that and they weren't able to finish off the inhibitor, they've got that open door.
Can see just TPA. They got the Baron. They want to make this play. Jesiz hanging off the side. I'm not sure that's the right move, and he's having the same thought himself as he comes around. This is going to be very hard for them to push into SK's face, though.
Keep your eyes on CandyPanda. The Banshees is popped. Morning was able to land the stun there, but as we said, defensive item there for CandyPanda, able to block one. We'll see if the cooldown comes back up and they get a second.
Freddy standing at the door. that big bouncer that we've talked about already, trying to keep them out and away from that inhibitor. But you see TPA stepping forward, trying to get those stuns off. Bebe needs to be very careful how close he goes in, because Jesiz, if he gets the pick, will go in there, but they do manage to force SK back. The inhibitor goes over to the Taipei Assassins. Now they're going to have the super minions coming in, but if you look at top and bottom, it's already on SK's favor, so they need to just spread out those side lanes. They're trying to set up a trap, but they were on a ward.
Yeah, that's not going to work out for them. They're trying.
There is a giant minion wave down bottom for SK, so that at least they have pressure down there. But TPA turning their sights towards the top tower. They want to make use of the Baron while they still have it.
Trying to trap in the jungle. This time around, not going to work out. There is a big wave, as you said. That's going to be the top tower, the inner going down. The bottom may well get dealt with by those minions. SK do have that advantage, as you mentioned, but this wave, will it get cleared out quick enough? It's going to be taken. TPA get himself another tower. The stun on Jesiz isn't enough. The Cully doing the damage. He gets caught with the Rune Prison. And Bebe down by Bebe. Straight on towards him. Crescendo still not used. And nRated holding on to that one. But SK are down to 4 members.
This is dangerous for SK Gaming. Jesiz has got a 1 minute spawn time, and TPA knocking on the door on this top lane. Are they going to be able to work their way in? There is the next minion wave coming in. Watch for Morning, because he's been brilliant with his stuns so far. They managed to lock up Freddy for a while. There is a crescendo. Morning actually using the Zonias. Monsoon from Jay. SK trying to push this one back. There's the damage to CandyPanda. Not enough though. They kill off Morning. Gilius will fall. Achie is actually pretty low. Winter's fall back away. Double for Freddy before he goes down. That's 3 dead for SK, 2 dead for the Taipei Assassins. This time they've got the AD carry up with them. They're going to try and win the game.
The super minions coming in the mid lane. Wynn's taking a hell of a lot of beating now, but Bebe goes aggressive. nRated taking low. He gets dropped down. CandyPanda, the last man standing. Jesiz up in 9 seconds time. They're going to try and push on towards the Nexus turrets. One goes down. Can the second one? Bebe goes in, annihilates him. And that's going to be the game for the Taipei Assassins here on the home ground. What a match!
And listen to that crowd roar there. Taipei Assassins did so well yesterday against Royal Club. You should argue that they probably should have won that game. This one was far from easy for them once again. They had that traditional TPA great early start. They also had then the traditional TPA ropey later stages, but they managed to hold on, making that decisive call which led to the Baron. And this time they make no mistake the later they went.
And man, do I like watching Bebe on Lucian. He doesn't hesitate to dash in to finish off AD carries. He sees the high priority target low, and he uses the skill as its name, Relentless Pursuit. He's always following up on the damage, and that's what counted. He got the kill, and they were able to snowball that all the way into the base. I'm sure that Freak is going to have some words about that defensive item, third for CandyPanda as well. We'll see, because Bebe did not go for one of those earlies, just making the McHales so that he could continue to go aggressive.
What a back and forth match that really was. TPA leading in the beginning. SK clawing the way back into it after a great ace down at the Dragon. Actually wasn't quite the ace, was it? That he only got the Quadra there in towards it. Gets the Baron straight off the back of it. Gets a second Baron as well, but TPA, they answered so well, catching them in that Baron pit and then picking up a tactical, masterful Baron. They just forced them up the mid, led them on a merry dance and ran straight up and picked that Baron, and that really was where it all turned for them. They just pushed in towards the middle inhibitor, taking along the top turrets and completely running SK in a merry dance. That flash Rune Prison though, on towards Jesiz was incredible, because he'd already flashed, but the Rune Prison went down as it was going through, and that is what left them in a 4v5.
Yeah, it was great follow-up. They get Cinder Stun into Flash Rise Rune Prison, and then Bebe dashes in to finish him off. Everybody on the same page there. Completely different face from TPA than we saw yesterday. Maybe it was jitters for their first Worlds game, and now everybody's in sync, but they look much more cohesive. Maybe it is having their back pushed against the wall is all that they needed.
The speculation coming into the tournament was SK Gaming TSM, TPA, who's going to be the second spot coming through? I think general consensus was that Royal Club were the strongest team in this group. And now, later on today, we're going to see a 1-1 TSM going up against a 1-1 Taipei Assassins. And that could be a big deciding match. That's going to be brilliant.
And let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is only day 2. This
That's
is a
true as well.
round-robin group stage. These guys all have to play each other again, so there's still lots of matches to go on. But my God, we're getting some fantastic games in these early group stage games.
Yeah, these are very, very exciting. This one goes super late, too. Everybody likes to see the late game that actually are decisive because there was nonstop action in this one.
I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. Are we going Baron? No, we're not going Baron. Let's go to Baron. Let's not go Baron. We're
It's a
from
European
Europe.
team.
We're used to seeing that. So for us, it's not all that bad. But, you know, TPA, I was hoping for them that they wouldn't make any kind of mistake the later things went. They've already shown that they've got that trait, which they'll probably not really like having that trait themselves. It cost them dearly yesterday against Royal Club. They've got to work on that one. And as you mentioned, there's still a few games to go in the group stage. They've still got to play each other twice. And we're getting such great games the first time around. The second time these teams come to play, they'll already have a match to kind of look through what went wrong for them. And the evolution over a group stage itself can be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, one of the biggest things coming into these group stages was so many teams had all this time to prepare. They all came here in boot camp, and we didn't get to see what everyone was working on for several weeks. So now that they've had that first day and they've got that first glimpse, the second day is exciting to see how they'll adapt to what they've seen.
Absolutely fantastic match and a win for the Taipei Assassins. For more on that one, we're going to send it over to Shox, who's standing by with TPA's wins.
Thank you very much, Joe. First off, congratulations, wins. Fantastic victory here for the Taipei Assassins versus SK Gaming. Yesterday, you guys almost won versus Starhorn Royal Club. How did you guys manage to win this one?
恭喜你们今天赢得胜利。那昨天对皇族你们也差点赢得胜利。那今天你们做了什么不同的，让你们赢得这次的胜利呢？
今天就是我们回去有想过为什么我们昨天输，然后就是让自己冷静下来，就是赶快想好今天比赛要怎么打，然后换个战术，因为对每个队伍的战术不一样，然后想办法用新的战术来赢得这场比赛。
They went back and they were calm and they went to the drawing board and think about a strategy to face the team today, and that paid off.
Well, that's one win already for you today. Later up, you're going up against TSM, the North American team. How do you think that matchup will play out?
今天你们赢了1胜，那接下来要遇到 TSM， 然后你觉得那一场会发生什么事呢？
我觉得我们双方实力应该是差不多，然后我觉得 TSM 他们的中路非常的强，我觉得只要我们就是不要让他们中路拿到太多优势的话，我觉得我们可以有机会赢他们的。
We think our strengths are almost the same, and TSM has a really good mid. But if we all perform right, I think we'll have a really good game.
Well, we'll see how that game plays out. Now, Wins, you were on the world stage last year with the Gamma Bears. How well do you think you can do here now that you got the Taipei Assassins with you?
你之前跟 Gamma Bear 有打过 Worlds， 那现在你跟 TPA， 你觉得你可以打到什么好成绩呢？
因为其实去年是直接进8强，然后我们直接遇到一个单出的那个冠军的 SKT1， 然后我们确实是被打得非常的惨。可是这一年我觉得我自己也想了很多，然后也换了一个新队伍、新气象，然后我觉得这是我们可以拿到更好成绩，因为我觉得我这一年都努力了很多，因为去年真的打得不够好，就觉得有点难过，就今年要打回来，讨回公道。
So it's unfortunate they faced SKT, the eventual champion last year, but this year he put a lot of work into it, and hopefully he'll do better this year.
Well, this was a great start already. Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to kick it back over to the guys at the desk to analyze TPA's win.
Thank you very much, Shox. And what a game to kick off day 2. Yesterday, we had a killer match to start day 1 of Worlds. Today, similar case. SK come out swinging. Definitely a marked improvement. Let's talk picks and bans, team compositions. Monty, you were not particularly sold by TPA and what they put together.
No. I mean, they won this game, but and obviously team compositions aren't anything. They outplayed and kind of out-rotated their opponent in the mid lane when that whole Baron skirmish happened, and then they forced them back and kind of took the inhibitor as a result. But when we're actually looking at the picks and bans here, the issue is that they're riding a very small power spike with their Siege, with Lucian and Syndra, and Janna really does nothing. they only have one form of engage, which is a Syndra stun, which was why it took them so long to close. They couldn't really get a team fight. They got a nice fight when SK was in the Baron pit, but other than that, there's not a good way for them to actually win the game. And so with very little engage, there wasn't a backline threat because SK could just stand there, and if Ryze walks up, you just charm the Ryze, you kill the Ryze first, and then you can collapse on the backline once the front line is dead, and the kiting will come in from SK at that point. So there's no point to the Janna. You're not going to have a good disengage, and you don't have engage either. You don't have really good siege. It's just wishy-washy, and against better teams, you have to be able to draft better than that.
So I want to cut you off because I'm exactly opposite to your opinion here, which is that I actually love the Janna a lot because we don't see her much, but my read on her is this. Number one, I think she is the best support in the game at 20 minutes because that is when she gets level 9 and she has a 50 attack damage shield to put on a 1-item AD carry. And when you've got a Lucian who does so much physical spell damage, he is far and away the strongest champion on the map with a Janna shield on him. And we saw that timing window, the 22 minutes they come in, Syndra can one-shot somebody, the Kha'Zix has power spike with the Brutalizer, they've got so much darn damage there that things just blow up. And Syndra is enough engage against champions that squishy, where no one's really come online yet. And that team turns into, by the way, you've got a late game Ryze, by the way, late game Kha'Zix, and then even Lucian was actually building a Blade of the Ruin King so we could deal with Mundo late game as well. So this kind of team turns on at 20 minutes and then grows. And I thought it was a wonderful team comp that eventually just builds into an unstoppable team.
It helped that SK walked into a number of Syndra stuns as well. Crippo, let's add here. We'll keep this conversation rolling.
I know we had a couple of replays coming, so I'm going to keep it short. I would have still preferred a Thresh for multiple reasons, just for like extra engage or just Thresh Syndra looking for picks. But what worries me or what's interesting is the Sona pick early. It opens you up to get countered really hard, and I feel like TPA dropped the ball on that. I watched the entire bot lane again, and BB and J just weren't in synergy. They kept going for trades one by one, separated. There was no tornado follow-up. There was no Lucian Q poke in lane, and they just basically allowed Sona Tristana to tie farm Lucian Janna, which should never happen, even after First Blood, and that's a really big mistake. Secondly, one thing on SK side, I would have loved nRated to pick up an earlier Chalice and maybe even an earlier Mikhail's, because he didn't even build that after finishing his locket. I really think he needed Mikhail's.
There's a theme on the analyst desk, Creppo disliking support build orders. Probably, we haven't heard anything from you. I want you to take me through our first replay. Let's pull this up. First of all, Gilius deserves a high five. His early game presence was a marked improvement from yesterday's games, and SK put a lot of focus on dragons. Let's roll this clip out and probably talk us through it.
So I really like this fight specifically for Jez's position. You can see him coming around the back right now, and right now he just disappears. TP has no idea where he goes, and this kind of gives them a lot of indecision, and they don't know what to do. At this point, Wins jumps in right when they see Ahri, and you see the rest of them in the pit. They're just too scared to move out with Ahri behind them, and now it's Freddy and Jesiz just closing in on these threes without, much escape. And it's just kind of TPA not really making that decisive decision early, and now it's up to SK kind of to pick and choose who they kill first.
Yeah, you were talking about the fact that you felt TPA was maybe afraid of Freddy and just trying to get away from him. Do you still feel the same after rewatching the replay?
Yeah, rewatching it really did seem they were more scared of Ahri, and then once they saw Ahri, they were like, this Mundo's in front of us, and we don't want to touch him.
Yeah, he managed to run a wreck. Now, before we move on to the next replay, what's your take on the game? I see you wanted to chime in while the disagreements were happening. TPA, they sort of fell behind early, but they strategically outplayed SK and got control back.
I think the biggest turning point was definitely that Baron, and that was what TPA really needed. They didn't have good engage, and SK doing Baron basically gave TPA an engage. It forced SK to sit in that pit and do that objective, and TPA just walked in and fought. And if they had just left that Baron, what was TPA going to do? They can't really run them down.
It was a good dodge on the crescendo as well.
Yeah, we actually have a replay of the Baron fight if we can pull that one up. This is the one that TPA comes in and cleans people up. So the thing that's going on here, by the way, is the call for SK is to finish Baron. CandyPanda flash crescendo to try to stop TPA from coming in to stop the smite. Problem is he misses Win. So let's roll the clip out, and you're going to watch him go for the flash crescendo here. And it's just barely away from Kha'Zix, so it doesn't quite tag him. He actually walks forward into it, and he actually gets into range to smite. You're going to see Win's actually puts a smite down here. It's just a little bit too early is all. But at this point, it's a big misplay. So Sona's out of mana, no Chalice. CandyPanda also flashes the wall. He's so afraid. Realizes, oh wait, I'm not dead. Rocket jumps back in, but by now it's already too late, as Jesiz is flashed out himself and can't get back in. And so it's a really, really badly coordinated fight by SK. It's, of course, easy then for TPA to clean up the rest.
I just want to add in very quickly, Morning, this is his second professional game on Syndra. For TPA, when they have played Syndra in the GPL, it is Chowie that has been playing it. He pulled out Syndra yesterday for the first time. That was a great stun. And yes, positioning it's made easier, but he hit those stuns multiple times throughout the game.
Yeah, Jesiz also didn't even have his ult. He had already burned it before that fight started, so that was another problem.
Yeah, adding on to that the Crescendo wasn't down for the fight. I completely understand what went through nRated's head there. Like, a lot of times people call burn Baron, okay, support goes Stalin, but what are you going to do once you get the Baron? If you're 2 ultis down against that team coming in at you, that desperately, like probably said, needs an engage, and basically you become their engage, then it's going to get really hard.
Final thoughts, Monty, before we move on?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know they don't have engage, so you don't flash to engage. You wait. You wait for them to walk into you. You use the Crescendo as a counter engage, tie up their front line. That way the Janna never does anything because she's too busy protecting the back line that doesn't need protecting. You burn down Rise, then you just follow up and clean up.
Well, definitely a game that got the analyst desk talking. Very exciting. All right, LPL's Edward Gaming and the international wildcard team at Dark Passage are preparing for our second game of the day. And I think we're actually going to take a look in at the venue in a moment. We can actually see Name, the rest of the team in their practice room, getting themselves ready. Dark Passage will also be taking to the Rift. They're squeezing in some time on the games. We'll be back in a second, guys.
Jesiz has caught Bebe around the backside. Is he going to get one?